After a long and tough battle, World War II came to an end in September of 1945. After Germany's defeat, it was broken up into four main sectors, one for each of the Allied powers, which were the United States, the United Kingdom, the Soviets, and France. For a short amount of time, all four powers coexisted together with no problems. That was until the Soviets decided that since the country itself was already in shambles, it would give them the perfect opportunity to spread communism into Western Europe. The other Allied powers, especially the United States, were reluctant for communism to spread. On April 3, 1948, President Truman put together the Marshall Plan, which granted around $13 million to repair the economic damage of World War II. This plan made the Soviets very angry. They would no longer be able to use the poverty in Western Germany to spread communism. The Soviets believed that this American policy was directly targeted at them to stop the spread of communism. In response to this thought, Secretary George C. Marshall explained that the policy of the United States was not directed against any country or doctrine, but against hunger, poverty, desperation, and chaos. Its purpose should be the revival of a working economy in the world so as to permit the existence of political and social conditions in which free institutions can exist. What the Secretary of State left unsaid was how much the plan emphasized the free market economy as the best path to economic reconstruction and the best defense against communism in Western Europe. By 1948, due to the Marshall Plan, the Soviets blockaded half of the country, splitting it into West and East Berlin. With this blockade, the Soviets blocked all land and water routes into Western Berlin. The people inside were not going to be able to survive long without water, food, and coal, and the other necessary supplies. America, as well as the other Allied powers, could not just sit back and watch the people of West Berlin fade away to nothing. So they decided to put together a massive airlift of food, water, and medicine to the citizens of West Berlin. The airlift began with 32 American C-47 flights bringing 80 tons of supplies, mainly powdered milk, flour, and medicine, into Tempelhof Airport. By August 12 of 1948, the airlift was dropping 4,500 daily tons, believed necessary to sustain 2 million West Berliners for a day. In October of that same year, the UN reached out to the Soviets to dissolve the blockade, but the Soviet Union vetoed the request. The airlift continued bringing supplies to the people, and as the days were getting closer and closer to Christmas, the Allies decided that the children of West Berlin needed Christmas just as much as any other child, so they put together Operation Santa Claus, which brought Christmas gifts to over 10,000 children. As 1949 began, the airlift was still hard at work, dropping an average of 5,500 tons of supplies each day. At this point, the airlift had dropped over 1 million tons of supplies. In April of that year, the Allies put together an Easter parade. The operation broke a 24-hour delivery record, with some 1,400 flights carrying in nearly 13,000 tons of coal, an average of one plane touching down every 62 seconds. On May 12, 1949, the Soviets abandoned the blockade, and the first British and American convoys drove through 110 miles of Soviet Germany to reach West Berlin. The Berlin Airlift continued until September 30th, in an effort to build up a year's supply of essential goods for West Berlin in the event of another Soviet blockade. Another blockade luckily did not occur, but Cold War tensions over Berlin remained high, and ultimately resulted in the Berlin Wall. America's involvement in the Berlin Airlift shows that America really does care about people. Regardless of the conflict we may have had with the country itself in the past, the citizens should not be held accountable. And overall, I think the Berlin Airlift is a good example of America's policy of helping people.